Hi. Hello. This is Deirdre. Oh, gosh. Hi. Welcome to Passion for Life with Dee and Friends. And I'm Dee, and I'm here with some friends again this Friday. Thank you for joining us. And I have some new friends today. And I have actually one, well, you know my passion. I'm going to tell you all my passion. My passion is to educate people to what diseases are and help them find good ways to, tools to make it better. So, but we can't always talk about my passion, so that's okay. So we're going to talk about my friends' passions today. And hopefully we will put a little bit of my passion in there today also. So today I have one of my friends. Actually, she's a friend I met about maybe a couple months ago, and we just connected. And we just became like besties, you know. And she laughs. And even though I'm a little older, but we hang. So, hi Tamu, how you doing?
How are you? Good. Thank you for having me on the show.
Well,
Appreciate it.
I'm so happy that you finally made it, because I did extend the
Yes.
invitation on so many occasions.
Yes, you have, but I'm here now.
Yes, you
That's
are
a good
here,
thing. Okay.
and that's a wonderful thing.
Yes.
And usually when I have my friends on my show, what I do is I ask them what their passion for life is. So, what is your passion for life?
My passion for life has always been to try to serve my community.
Okay.
So that's what I'm very passionate about.
Okay. And, well, I know that you have your own business and you are serving the community.
Absolutely.
And how do you do it in that regard?
So basically, I have a company called Beds because everyone deserves shelter.
Right.
And what we do is we house homeless adult single males
Okay.
who are, of course, homeless or on SSI or coming out of parole or probation and so forth and need a place to stay.
Okay.
And basically what we do is we provide them different services to get them back on their feet. So it is called transitional housing because it is a transition
Okay.
into independent living.
Very good.
So we provide resume writing, employment, we have a food program, drug counseling, you name it, we basically do it.
Excellent. Wow. Well, when I first met you, I knew you were somebody so positive, and I know you just got your master's.
Yes, I just got my master's,
And,
which is great. Yay!
been
Finally
doing-
finished.
And you're doing your thing, going all over the place and just sharing and helping people. And I know you're about to help me do some stuff too.
Yes.
So I'm so excited. So now I'm going to talk to my other friend. And actually, this is a gentleman that I just met. And my goodness, he just was like, we started talking, and I went to a Toastmasters event, but he didn't go to the Toastmasters that night. He decided to kind of just hang out afterwards.
Play hooky.
Yes, he played hooky. So, but we started a conversation, and it was just wonderful. And I said, "You want to come on my show today?" And that was last night. And he did.
I'm here.
You're here. Oh my gosh. And you know what? Your name is a little different because I know Omar is your last name.
Right.
So pronounce your name again.
Fareed.
Fareed.
Right.
Fareed. And what's the
Right.
origin of Fareed?
It's Arabic.
Arabic.
It's an Arabic name.
Okay.
Fareed. You know, I don't know what my parents were up to when they because they gave us all these names, and you know, back in the '60s, you know, parents were into different things, and they were into naming their children with Arabic names. So that's
Okay.
what I got.
Do you speak Arabic?
I know some letters, and I know some, I can speak a few words here and there,
Okay.
and when somebody's speaking to me in Arabic, I can pick certain things out
Okay.
too, so.
Well, that's interesting. Well, again, so since you are a newbie and you're
I'm a
my
newbie.
new friend, I need to find out what is your passion for life?
My passion for life. Well, actually, right now, my passion is working on my children's book.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a book for middle school kids. It's called, what is it called? It's called, I'm getting stage fright.
It's okay.
It's called.
You should have seen
No,
me.
I'm sorry. It's called, I'm back. It's called Any Kid USA.
Any Kid USA.
Any Kid
I
USA.
like that. That's really cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, I know you had said that you also are into coaching.
Coaching too, right. I just became a certified self-esteem coach for kids. I didn't start working on that yet and talking to kids yet, but that's going to be down the road. I'm concentrating on trying to get the book finished. But
Okay.
yeah, that's a passion of mine too.
Okay.
It-
So now, quick question. I'm sorry I interrupted
That's all
you.
right.
But in terms of your book,
Right.
so how long you been working on your book?
I'm working on the book close to a year.
Okay.
Right.
And what inspired you to just get this book out there?
Well, because I want to start I want to start speaking to children. And it's good to have a book, especially a book with illustrations in it.
Okay.
So they can kind of get into the book and read the book, and hopefully they'll get something out of that. And then I can start talking about the book. And the book has a lot of lessons in it for this one kid in the book. And he realizes once he gets a lot of different, how mothers constantly tell the kid, do this, do that. And he's just like any other kid, a little rebellious. So, but he does the things that she wants him to do. He doesn't understand why he's doing it, but he just does it anyway. So, and I don't want to give the book away, but in the book, as he's going through life and hanging out with his friends, and he's getting his lessons from his mother, he realizes towards the end of the book that all these things his mother was telling him was little lessons, and he actually benefits. Again, I don't want to give it away, but at the end, his friends go through something that if he hadn't listened to his mother, he would have gone through that too.
Right.
And he didn't, so he really benefited from all these little lessons from his
Right,
mother.
right,
So
right.
that's basically
Well, that's
the gist.
cool.
Yeah.
And actually, you're helping children and helping young people to grow and inspire them to be a better person. So it's all about community again. So we all trying to help people to bring them to a better life.
Absolutely.
Have a better integrity of life. Because without young people and having those lessons and without people coming out of hardship and trying to go through transition, it's very, very challenging.
Very challenging.
Yeah. So it's very diverse. So I'm like, okay, where do I go? but
We're both helping. We're
Yeah,
helping,
it's
so
all
that's
about
it.
helping.
Right.
So it's exciting, because at this point with our lives being so challenging in just the everyday, it's without people like you or you, the young people, the old people, the middle people, because I know that it's not always old people that are having challenges finding a bed or transitioning out of jail or a situation of drugs or what have you. But how do you get your people coming?
Well, we built up a lot of networking that we do within the community and also with corrections with a lot of outpatient drug treatment centers, hospitals, caseworkers,
Right.
and some of the actual shelters that the city provides.
Right.
So we go, we talk to them, we invite them to our open houses that we do have, and we talk to them, and we basically tell them exactly what we're about and what we do, and how it can benefit their clients. And from that moment on, we've been getting clients, and we've just been, been successful. Our transitional houses are very different from others, because it's a very home-like environment.
Okay.
It's not a shelter where you have rows of beds or, in an open space. They do have their rooms, they have a kitchen, they have bathrooms. I mean, it's a very, very home-like living. We don't want them to feel like they're incarcerated, because they have been feeling that way for years, especially if they've been in the system and coming home and then being told that they're unable to stay with their family and they have to find housing and they can't afford it. So that's where we kind of come in. So we try our best to help in the way of not just housing, but, just everyday life.
Right.
That they now have to try to get accustomed to again, whether it's paying their bill, filling out a job application, just everyday things that we take advantage of. They're basically kind of trying to learn over again.
Right. Do you also provide psychological
We
aid
do have,
and-
yes.
and-
We have counselors as well, and we do a lot of outpatient referrals as well. As well as
Okay.
in-house, we have our group meetings and group house meetings and so forth like that. And we have I also individual counsel as well, so.
Okay.
We have all of those. We try to make sure that we can give them everything in-house.
Okay.
So that they feel comfortable, because they do feel comfortable.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
so-
How long do they usually stay in your
Well, they can
facility?
stay up to 2 years, but
Okay.
the goal is to get them out within a year, hopefully. If they are there longer than, a year, it's fine. Some people need more time than others. And to be quite honest, 2 years really isn't enough.
Right.
But we try our best to get them out and, on their feet.
Now, it's a city program or a state program?
So
or-
we are not a nonprofit. We are a private organization. They do have nonprofit transitional houses, or as they're trying to transition into called shared living community.
Okay.
But we are private. So we try our best to pick individuals that really want to change their lives.
Right.
And there is a huge, huge percentage of men between age 31 to about 46 that are homeless.
Really? That
Yeah.
young?
Yeah.
That's so, and then Fareed, that comes to you because you have if they had certain
Yes.
foundations when they were coming up, they would not end up in the system
Yeah,
at
absolutely.
a later date. So in terms of you trying to help, with your book and giving them the lessons of life,
Right.
and then with the fact that you'll be coaching young people, basically, right?
Right.
And what age group would you be coaching these young people?
Well, it's middle school.
Middle school?
Right. So what I'm trying to do is, there's so many bad lessons today. Bad lessons in books, bad lessons in movies and magazines and
Yeah,
television and
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
So I'm just trying to, just put something out there that's positive, that gives some life lessons that, that come from parents that are trying to instill some values in children. So that's all my goal is. I'm just trying to put something out there to kind of be a counterbalance against some of the bad that these kids are coming upon and seeing and watching and reading every single day.
Yeah,
So-
it's actually really bad. How did you inspire to go for that type of?
Well, I have my own children,
Okay.
and before that, I was a child. So,
Well, you still look very young.
I appreciate that. I never get tired of hearing that. But, yeah, when I grew up, my parents, they were religious.
Right.
And a lot of things they didn't allow us to do. I mean, I remember living in the Bronx and watching kids outside, because once the lights came on, we knew we had to come upstairs and
Right.
come in the house. So I remember being so angry at my parents, looking outside and watching all the kids play outside, and I'm wondering, banging on the window, wondering why I can't be down there too,
Right.
playing with those kids.
Right, right.
And now, I talk to my kids the same way. I don't want them out there past dark playing, in the streets like that
Right,
either.
right.
So, I understand how valuable it was to hear those things that you didn't want to hear when you were young, and how valuable it was and helped me in my life to walk a straight road and not get into things that
Right.
would be not beneficial to me,
Right.
and not wind up like some of my friends wound up. So, that's basically what I'm trying to do.
Or end up in transitional housing.
Yeah.
Because what happens is you have to have that strong foundation, and otherwise you, end up in some institution, or you, die, or,
yeah.
or you're in jail. It's like,
Well, I
you
think
ha-
it's important. I think it's great that you said middle school, because middle school is known for, that's when we lose most of our children, during middle school.
Right.
So they come from elementary where their parents are all, kindergarten, first, second, and third, fourth, fifth grade, and they're like, oh, my baby, my baby. Then once they transition from elementary to middle school, a lot of our kids get lost because the classes are bigger.
Right.
They're changing their classes. It's not the same baby environment that they were having in elementary school.
Right.
The work is a little bit more difficult. Then, of course, the city is testing every year, test, and they're
Right.
teaching to a test, so it gets
Right.
a little bit even harder and harder. And then we just end up losing our kids.
Yeah.
And that's when we do it.
Yeah, it's true. And if they're not there, because I know I had actually challenges. I always have challenges. It's like, oh my gosh. But when I was in middle school, I actually was a truant. You would never
You were a
believe I was a
truant,
truant.
All right.
But because my parents were going through transition, and they were getting divorced. And at that point, I ended up perhaps being out of school for like 50-something days of the whole year.
Wow.
I don't know how I graduated.
You're very, you're very lucky.
Good at test taking.
I made sure I was there for my test.
Yeah, there you go.
I made sure, and I think they knew I was going through something.
Right.
So I remember with a truant officer coming past the house, but I stayed home.
Right.
My mother knew I was home,
Right.
but I stayed home. I had to move. My parents were divorcing, and it was just something that
Yeah.
I was going through.
Yeah.
So I think I was very overweight too. I hated gym. The only thing I failed was gym. I had like a 39. It was bad.
Okay.
But I ended up going and graduating, but it was only, I think, by the grace of God and through my parents and my grandparents, because they instilled those basic foundations.
Yeah.
Right.
And I didn't get led astray.
Right.
I
Right.
knew there was drugs and what have you, but I wasn't interested in
Yeah.
any of that. But you have to, that middle school is very
Absolutely.
important.
And then you have a lot of parents, because, a lot of people think that it's the single parents, but it's not really the single parents. We have a lot of parents that have two parents in a household,
Right.
but both of them are working 2 jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're working these 2 jobs around the clock, and the kid is coming home. They may have difficulty with their homework, and I think even if you call dial a teacher, I think they end like at 4 or 5.
They have dial a teacher?
Yeah, they
What
still
is
I don't know
have
about
it.
that either.
They could just dial a teacher if they have a problem, which is really good. But
Yeah.
I mean, the hours are pretty short, if I'm correct. So now you have the kid at home, and they're having difficulty with whatever homework they're having. The parents aren't home because they're busy working, trying to pay the bills and put food on the table.
Right.
By the time they get in, they're tired, and a lot of parents, when it comes to math, okay, let's think. A lot of parents don't even understand the problem itself,
Right.
much less trying to explain it to the kid.
Right.
So it's a lot of challenges that are going on. Plus, we have different things now compared to where we were younger.
Yeah.
Internet,
Yeah.
Right.
the cell phones, you name
This is
it.
very true.
So it's a lot of distractions going on.
There's a lot of distraction, but thank goodness we have people like you and you that are there to help. Yeah, and me.
Trying.
I had
Yes,
to put
that's
me.
right.
Yeah, I
And you.
put me.
That's right. That's right.
Because it's just important to get that education, that knowledge. Knowledge is a power, and I know that sometimes children don't want to hear our knowledge. They want to experience their own.
Of course.
But after a while, they see that we're trying to help them. So they do just engage, and especially if you creatively put it out there in a way that they can be engaged. Like the book would be one of those tools.
Right.
So you have to get those tools out there and what have you, so that they don't have to end up with the drugs. Because I know when you start drugs as early as probably in your early teens, 12, 13, 14, that stays with you. I've seen friends, my family, what have you, that if you experiment older, it would not take as much. Because I know myself, I was a smoker of cigarettes, and I started at 12.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
And of course, that took forever to come out of me. You know, it was like 30.
You can't even buy cigarettes at 12. How did you get the cigarettes?
Back in the day, they let you buy cigarettes.
I thought they.
Yeah.
So this
Yeah,
is-
back in the day. I was a
Okay,
little
all right,
old.
yeah. Okay, I got it.
I told you I was
Yeah, no,
older.
no,
You know I
still
don't
look
look
young.
good.
You don't look it.
Okay,
You
thank you
don't
very
look
much. Well, you know that I told you what I take my
Right,
beverages, and I'm putting good things in my body that is not aging me.
Okay.
So that's important. So, you know, we should have to start young too with that,
Definitely.
with the
Absolutely.
kids, because otherwise they're looking older. I'm like, you look older than me.
Yeah, I know.
So it's like
Yeah.
really bad. But in terms of cigarettes, at that point, they didn't have those stringent things
Right.
in place that, you couldn't go, because my mama, go and get me a pack of cigarettes, you know?
Right,
And you
right.
get the bear or whatever. I don't think they had those real, but, you know, kids weren't doing it with the cigarette smoking. Although, I'll tell you, my mom always said, if you want to smoke cigarettes, I'd rather you do it in the house.
Really?
Because she felt that she didn't want me to be exposed to the other stuff.
Right, right.
So just be honest and tell me, and it'll be okay. Now, she found out that I was, and I didn't really want to, like, throw it in her face, but I was.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Actually, I'm going to my high school reunion tomorrow, right?
Okay.
And I spoke to one of my classmates, and he was like, I didn't know I thought you were kind of nerdy, which I was. In high school, I was extremely nerdy, but I liked to go out dancing, and I did smoke cigarettes, but nobody really knew. Because I hung out with the very nerdy people,
Right.
you know, so it was like, that was my undercover.
That was your dirty little secret. That's what it was.
But the thing is, and I just didn't throw it in people's face. But I'm telling you, at 12 years old, I started,
Right.
and I did not stop until I was 42.
Wow.
Yeah, because it was there.
Right.
You know, now other things I experimented with, but I didn't start that until I was well into like 17, 18. So all of a sudden, all of a sudden,
Yeah, all of a sudden. Go
all
ahead.
of a sudden, you know, that stuff didn't take.
Right.
I didn't like it. It was just
Yeah.
you know, I won't even get into what.
But you know, I'm very surprised, honestly, because I would have never suspected
Oh my.
that was you. You know, that you were doing the cigarettes, really?
Oh my gosh!
Oh my gosh,
I know,
really?
I know. Well, I think we're going to take a break.
Yes.
Okay, and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
1.3 million women are victims of physical assault by an intimate partner each year. According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, the majority of cases aren't reported to the police. Most people who are in an abusive relationship don't even know they're in one. The truth is, all abusive relationships boil down to one thing: control.
How do you like it? My new dress.
Are you out of your mind? You look like a prostitute. We're not going out with you dressed up like that in public.
But what am I supposed to wear?
Wear something decent. You can't wear that out in public. We're going to be late. Get back in there and pick a different outfit. I'm going to go run some errands. I'll be back in 30 minutes. Please be ready, okay?
Fine, I'll change. Fine.
Abuse is not always physical, leaving wounds that are visible on the outside. Emotional abuse is just as painful, only these wounds are hidden on the inside.
Are you out of your mind? You're crazy. You look like a prostitute.
Know that abuse is abuse, no matter what the form.
Look at me.
Oh my God, what's wrong with me?
Physical abuse scars the body,
I just wanted to love me.
but mental abuse scars the mind.
What you just saw was an example of a relationship that is emotionally abusive. Nobody has the right to tell you how to dress or how to act. If someone really cares for you, they won't tear you down. They will build you up.
How do you like it?
Wow. You look great. Fantastic. But then again, you look great all the time.
Thank you. I was hoping you'd like it. It's my new dress. I bought it just so we could go out tonight.
You look stunning.
Thank you. But I think I'm going to take a sweater just in case it gets cold tonight.
Great idea. I'm going to take one too. Let's go.
All relationships are not perfect, but a healthy relationship is when two people bring out the best in each other and have each other's good in mind. Take your time to know someone instead of rushing into something. It is better not to involve yourself with an abusive person than to try and get out of a domestic violence situation.
If someone is abusive to you and you need help, please call the Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 1-800-799-SAFE. They have highly trained experts available 24/7 who will speak with you confidentially and offer information regarding the unhealthy aspects of your relationship, resources, or immediate support for victims to find safety and live lives free of abuse. Domestic violence affects us all.
It affects us all.
Nos afecta a todos.
It affects us all.
모두에게 영향을 줍니다.
Che ci ricarte tutte.
It affects us all.
Domestic violence.
Stretching under sedation or manipulation under anesthesia is a very gentle, very precise procedure to very slowly release any scar tissue that is formed as a result of a traumatic injury. Many people ask, how does this work? Will I get hurt? Will you stretch me too far? We only stretch the body part to its normal range of motion. After completing the post-MUA rehabilitation program, it's very common that our patients say to us, hey, I can play ball with my kid again. Hey, I can bowl again. Hey, I can enjoy hiking again. This is what makes it rewarding to us as practitioners.
Hi, welcome back to Passion for Life with Dee and Friends, and we are just coming back from our little break, and thanks for hanging out there with us. And what were we talking about? Oh, me?
Yes, you. That's
Oh
what
my
we
gosh,
got.
that's my subject. No, I have always so many challenges. You know, that's how I got here, because it was just that I saw my family going through it, and I've been through so many experiences and stuff like that, and I'm like, wow, this needs to be shared. And, well, being that I was into sharing my health and wellness thing, and it was just like a natural progression.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, cool. So that was my mission.
Good mission.
Like you all have your
It's a great
missions.
mission.
Yeah, it's a great
Yeah. Well, your missions are phenomenal also, and awesome people. And even though I just met you, I've known you for a little bit, and I just met you a couple of months ago.
Couple of months.
But we are like,
Yeah,
oh,
right,
wow. It's amazing.
Yeah,
It's really, really cool. And I think we're going to be good friends, too. Yeah, it's like, hey. Yeah. So, in terms of starting early, you know, it just stays with you. So you have to learn. Like I'm not even going to say, a family member that actually started using certain things early, and she's still having challenges, you know, and you're in your 50s, well in your 50s. So why does it happen? So people have to really be aware of what's going on early in life, because it
Absolutely.
is formidable.
Right.
And they do
Absolutely.
say that it happens early.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like, so getting them at that middle school age, and I know you have 4 children. You have 4
Yes,
children?
I have 4 children.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're
all
ranging.
21, 19, 13, and 12. Yes, I
Right,
have to
right.
think
So you
about
have those teenagers, and those teenagers actually really, you know,
it. Yeah, I mean, I have one that's about to be 21 in
Mm-hmm.
28 days, and college, of course, and the other one is in college. And I think with everything as parenting, you start from they're young.
right.
You know, telling them what's right, what's wrong, what you expect of them, what the
Right.
rules are, you know, and when they break the rules, what happens, the consequences, and
Right.
you know, and you explain to them and you show them that nothing in life is free.
Right.
So, you know, if they come to me and say, you know, I want this, I want that, I'll say, okay, so I'll make a deal with you. You give me an A, and I'll give you this. So that's how we do it in our household.
Okay.
So, and it works well. I mean, and we talk to them about drugs. We always talk to them about drugs. We talk to them about drinking, and it's a constant thing. It's not something that you say once or twice and then you go, you know, you forget about it.
Right.
You know, you just keep talking about it. It's, even when they get to college age, even more so, 'cause, you know, you have the sororities, the fraternities,
yeah.
the drinking, the drugs, and so forth. So you just continue to say it over and over and over.
Right.
And eventually it does seep in.
Well, yeah, I'll tell you, my mom was one of these people that was, okay, I have been exposed to certain things, so I want you to be aware and knowledgeable. Now, if you're interested in having sex, let me know. I will take you and have birth control. If you're interested in doing this, that's why she's like,
Right.
do it here. If
Right.
you want to smoke cigarettes, if you want, so it was just, okay, we know it happens. So talk to me
Right.
and let me know.
Right. You know,
He's like, I don't know about that.
well, you know, I've heard stories about this, and it bothers me. I have a friend, I won't put out his name, but he says his father, like when he was younger, his father says, you know you want to smoke marijuana, so I don't want you smoking it with your kids, so you smoke it with me, because I don't want you out there with your friends smoking marijuana. And I'm like, why would you want your son smoking marijuana with you or anybody else? So that's what got me. And I've heard stories about other parents doing the same thing. And I understand that there's merit with having them smoke the cigarettes in the house, but, you know, you could take that to, you could just take that out and you start doing this other thing where you want to smoke marijuana with your children. It just never made any sense to me. I just never could
Well, I'll tell you,
understand.
I never really did any of my experimentations like that with my parents. I didn't do that. I really didn't, even though one of my parents did partake. And I found out later. I'm not going to blow him up. Someone said I just did. But he was a good guy, though. I love my daddy. But, you know, but I don't know how long he was doing it or what have you, but I just never did. I couldn't do that with him. I found out he did it. I was like, oh, okay, interesting. But it was that, but because I started late and I wasn't really interested in it, it just didn't do me. So I was glad I just experimented, but it just was like, okay, bye. Although with my other family member, it's a little longer, you know, it's still there. But because she started so young. And I feel because at such an early age, it's so not good. So you have to be very aware of when you start something on that ordering. If you're experimenting, do it later, you know, after you have been formed. Because at 12 years old, your body's still adjusting. They do say it leads to other things. And from where I stand, yes. If you start too early, yes, it could lead to other things. The smoking didn't lead to anything else except for me going, you know, overweight and what have you, because I was fixated with the oral fixation.
Right.
Yeah. So I did not smoking and then being overweight. I don't know.
I would say to his point, I think that it all depends. I think it depends on the parent, and I think it depends on how they do it. I mean, I remember my mom catching me with a cigarette. I never forget it. And she pulled me in the house, and she said, "Okay, let's smoke." So she sat me down, and she said, light up, and she said, smoke that cigarette. And I smoked it, and she was like, no, finish it, because it was a lot. I'm not smoking. It was nasty. She made me smoke that one, and after that, she made me smoke another one. She made me smoke 3. I was so sick and nauseous. I was like, I don't even want to see a cigarette ever again. So I think it all depends on the parent and what they mean and how they're doing it, how they're trying to teach that or educate that particular kid. And then, the parent has to know their child as well. And then I also believe that certain people are predispositioned when it comes to drugs. Meaning like marijuana can be a beginning gateway for a particular person. And maybe another person, they can smoke that marijuana and then nothing ever happens. That's what they do. They don't smoke, they don't drink once in a while, and they're fine. I think so, because we're not sure who is predispositioned for that, is the whole, marathon, don't do drugs at all, because where it could lead you. So I think, at least that's my thought process.
Well, no, and you're right, and I believe it's probably, I just recently heard something called epigenes, and it's environmentally predisposed, opposed to genetic per se.
Disposition, was I saying
No,
that?
no, you said it right. It's all good.
You know what I meant. Okay.
But the thing is, it's environmentally, there's some kind of thing around your genes that actually, I guess the DNA or what have you, that is surrounding the gene, and this is actually affected by your surroundings.
Interesting.
It is, and I just I went to a lecture on, I believe it was Wednesday, and I heard this epigene thing, and I actually read something about it previously, but I have to do my research before I can really go into
of course.
it. But it makes sense that that's why some people are more predisposed to becoming less addicts or having, it won't stop there.
Right.
So the thing is, a lot of people, and we're talking about food now, I'll talk about food, but stressors and all that will actually, when you start putting these negative stressors into your body, the environment or whatever it is, food, smoke, drugs, what have you, all of a sudden your gene pool will start adapting and taking it in, and
Right.
that's when you can't stop certain things.
Right.
So it's scary, but it is real. So you have to, that's why people say, oh, it's genetic, it's genetic. No, a lot of it is not genetics per se, it's environmental. And that's why you have to put the right things into your body. Or else your body is going to, and that's where you have to start young. You know, because if you're not letting your children, because I know with myself, why I am overweight is because I was exposed to the wrong things
Right.
initially as a child. You know,
Right.
at 2 years old, they told my parents that I would be over 200 pounds by the age of 12. I was, because I was eating the wrong foods.
Correct.
The wrong foods were fueled into my body. And I was addicted, okay, truly addicted to sugar and processed foods.
Right.
I'm still kind of addicted, you know, because if
so
I
am I.
eat one little thing, I'm like, it's all over. I have to finish the bag or whatever. And that's most everybody.
Right.
Yes.
So it's really, really, really challenging. So, and if you don't start these children on the right path, the right journey early, and they may resist you and what have you, but so you have to do it in a way
Right.
so that they can understand. So in terms of your book, starting at that middle age, and you teaching your children and preparing them, and how many children do you have?
2.
You have 2? How old are they?
Well, they're older. One is 29. One is 24. He just turned 24.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, and like you were saying too, it's something that when you're trying to teach them lessons, you really have to keep instilling the lesson all the time. And if you don't, you can't expect them to take it on. Because for some reason, when we're kids, I don't know if it's the rebellion aspect of it or whether it's just the fact that they just want to do their own thing. But if you know the right path and they don't want to do that, they want to go veer off, you have to keep, it's almost like a giant tree. You just have to keep whacking the tree. You know the tree's going to come down at some point, but you have to just keep whacking and keep telling them the same thing. After a while, they'll pick it up.
I do believe that to a certain degree, but I feel like if you have that strong foundation,
Right.
and even though you know what's right and what's wrong, because a lot of times, if like I know when I was about 7, I told my parents, because my parents were not going to church, but I said I want to go to church. So my grandparents, I called my grandparents and I said I want to go to church. So they were like, okay, we'll pick you up. You know, so they used to pick us up and took us to Sunday school, and we went to church with them every Sunday, and we spent our day with our grandparents. And so, and they were very active. They made sure if I wanted to join the choir or I wanted to join the usher board or go to a retreat, they made sure I got to go to any of those things. So fast forward when you get to like your teens and, you know, college, I think college, things started changing a little bit. And I'm going to tell you all about that in a few minutes. We're going to take a commercial break right now.
My name is Dr. Robert Brevard. I'm here for Multi-Medicine in Westbury, New York. We're located at 1065 Old Country Road, Suite 214. Been here for about 15 years. The practice has medical doctors, physical therapists, chiropractors, acupuncturists. We also do pain management, and we have orthopedists on staff. Here at Advanced Multi-Medicine Rehabilitation, we've got physical therapists on staff who treat an array of conditions, from neck pain to back pain, shoulder pain. We treat carpal tunnel. We treat a lot of car accident patients, slip and falls. We treat patients with knee injuries, with ankle injuries. We have state-of-the-art equipment. We've been here for over 15 years. Vast array of diagnostic testing, from x-rays to EMGs. What is an EMG? It's a diagnostic test that allows a doctor to determine where the pinched nerve is. Cora is a physical therapist at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. She's working on Stephanie, who was involved recently in an automobile accident. Stephanie has tight thoracic and cervical musculature, and Cora is doing some myofascial release work and some therapeutic stretching, doing it to help her with her pain. Vicky is also a patient here at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. Vicky is now working her leg muscles, specifically her quadricep muscles, trying to strengthen them after an injury she sustained. If you find yourself in need of any type of physical therapy, please don't hesitate to call Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation, located in Westbury, New York, in Suite 214. Phone number is 516-334-7000, or find us on our website at advancedmultimedicine.com.
Yo, what's up, y'all? This is me, DMC, in the place to be, the greatest MC in history. There will never be an MC greater than me. And right about now, the only place for you to be is with your one and only Madhouse TV. You are the man.
Hi, and welcome back to Passion for Life with Dee and Friends, and I'm Dee. You all know that by now. And here are my friends. So what were we talking about? I was talking about me, right? And
About you.
and I was talking about the fact that what? I can't remember now. What was it?
We were getting into all types of things.
Well, how I got started, or how I with my grandparents.
Yeah, you finished with your grandparents.
They
and
made
how-
sure that
right.
we got to church every day, and got over to do our, they instilled those good foundations.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time I got in college, started hanging out a little bit, didn't go to church as much, But I knew that I wasn't supposed to do certain things.
Of course.
So I did not get so engaged with all the crazy stuff that my other friends did. So I just didn't want to deal with that. I was, when I went out, I partied, I loved to dance, but it wasn't about, I gotta have me all the alcohol or the drugs or what have you. It wasn't experimenting with this and that and the other. It just didn't do me. I tried it. It just didn't do me. So I think because I had that foundation early in life, and not that, it was drilled into me. It was just that subtle type of foundation. It's like, okay, you got those big building blocks that actually work, and once you have a good foundation, it's not going nowhere.
Right.
Well, I think it's a combination of both. I think it's the foundation, it's the drilling, and then it's also knowing that child, that kid, because certain things, it might have worked for you, but another kid might not have worked for that particular child. So as a parent, you really have to know your kids.
Right, that's true.
Because something may not work for the other one. So now you have to turn it around and figure out what's going to work for that particular kid.
That's
It's a
true.
combination of a lot of different things. It's just not just one thing that works to get the kid where you need them to go.
This is true.
Right, it's kind of like what we were saying before about some children react to certain things more than other kids. I know myself and my brother, we're kind of like the complete opposites when it comes to certain things. When he does something, he does it 1,000%. Me, I can dabble. You know, and I like to dabble in all types of different things, but him, he gets on something, it's 1,000%
Right.
for that thing. So, you know, he can't be on drugs because he would want to try every drug. You know? and he would go to different countries to sample different drugs of that type, just so he would know, because that's just what he does.
Right.
And so, as far as that, it's just, I think that certain kids, and especially when it comes to drugs too, like you were saying, that some kids, when they get into drugs, they could really do maybe too much of it. So, and other kids, when they do drugs too, they don't do as much because they're just not susceptible to them, or they just don't like them as much, or whatever. Just like the cigarette scenario.
Well, you know, it's I feel because I started later. I didn't touch anything until after I was out of college. I mean, out of high school. So my predisposition to it didn't just take as much, because by that time I was like, okay, I was over with. It just didn't do me. I was like, it's okay. Made me paranoid. It just didn't. It wasn't. It was too much hype, you know. So I believe if I had started earlier, it probably would have taken me.
Right.
And I would still probably be doing it. Truly, you know, really, because that cigarettes, I didn't want to quit.
Right.
You know, people are like, oh, you know, Americans smoke out, this, that, and the other.
Right.
I was addicted. I was truly addicted. Food and cigarettes. That's what I liked. Okay, and let me tell you, when I finally quit, the only reason why I quit, I got bronchitis, and it was really, really bad. And then I was seeing somebody who ended up being my husband, and he was so down on cigarettes, and I was like, you know what? It's just not worth it anymore. so ultimately, I asked God to take it away, and He took it away. You know, just like that. I cold turkey because I had to.
Right.
Because, well, the bronchitis kind of really it
helped a lot.
It helped a lot. I was out of work for a whole week.
Okay.
Okay, and every time I coughed, I peed on myself. It was not cool.
It's not cool.
And as soon as I was able to go and get a pack of cigarettes, I went and got. And I was like, and I'm like, this is stupid, you know.
Yeah.
So I just had to say, okay, this is it. I'm done.
Right.
And it was done. And I didn't smoke, and I haven't smoked since.
That's wonderful.
But it took me 30 years.
Right.
Because that was one thing I wanted. And with the food, I finally, this is after, gosh, up, down, up, down, up, down. And I was at 12, 200, at 40 something, 300. You know, so I've been like transitioned all over the place. So at this point, I finally figured it out. It's what you put in your body.
Right.
And if you put it in too soon, like those cigarettes, I put it in soon, that's what took me.
Right.
And then the foods, the bad foods, those processed foods.
Right.
So now, you know, the chemicals, all those things, that the hormones, the antibiotics, the GMOs.
Right.
We didn't get a chance to talk about the GMOs,
Right,
you
right.
know?
Yeah,
Because I know that you, being that you have grown up as a Muslim, right? You said.
Right.
And you always very much aware what you were putting in your body.
Yeah, we always read labels because, you know, we try to stay away from pork. So I would always have to read labels to make sure there was no lard on the box and make sure it's a vegetable shortening. That's what started the whole thing. And I know we used to eat a lot of kosher food when I was young because we knew that the kosher food, you didn't have to worry about it being handled and pork being next to it or anything like that. So,
Right.
but that's what started me with all the reading the labels on all types of things and realizing that there's so many additives in the food that basically they put the additives in there not for us, but just so it can last on the shelf longer. You know, So a lot of things like the not the aspartame so much, but like we were talking about the high fructose corn syrups and the MSGs and just the way they pack the vegetables in the cans and stuff like that, the aluminum cans, which leach out different chemicals, and they get into the food too.
Yeah.
So all these things that we're eating, and we're eating all these different things that don't benefit us. They just benefit the people that are producing the foods, just so they last longer.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need all that stuff.
And all those chemicals are messing up our children.
Right.
And that's why our children have the autism
Right.
and ADD. What is
ADHD.
And then they go on drugs, and then it's just a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
You know, so, and then that's why a lot of these children also are starting with drugs early in life, because they don't know why. They're trying to find something to help them, because these foods that we're putting into their bodies, the processed foods, are really taking a toll on their bodies.
Right.
I know I was reading something recently, actually, I think today, with, you're talking about the cans. One of the companies decided they're going to take, it's like an endocrine disruptor, which causes a lot of challenges with people's bodies and what have you. And they're going to take it out of the cans, the aluminum inside, because you don't even know what's laced.
Right.
And it all, like you said, it does leach into the foods, and it causes a lot of challenges.
Right.
Well, we're almost done again. So I would love for you to share. I don't know who's squeaking. Is that me? Oh gosh, no it isn't. Anyway, we're having squeaky chair syndrome today. But I just wanted my guests, my friends, to share any information that you might want to share about your organization, your book, or what have you. So, but first we'll start with Tamu.
Of course. Well, as you know, Beds, we do house homeless individuals, so we do take donations. So if anyone has a donation, please contact Beds at BEDS today at gmail.com.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
And thank you for having me on the show.
Well, thank you for coming, and
Thank
anytime
you.
you're
Thank
welcome.
you.
And then
Thank
we'll
you.
talk about my passion next time.
Right, and my book is not ready yet. We're still, I have the illustrator's still working on the drawings, but when I am finished, I'd like to come back and.
Oh yeah, definitely,
go into a little bit and talk about it.
definitely.
But it's really funny. It's got a lot of lessons in it for children. It's morally based, because we tried to make sure that it didn't have any negative messages in it. So it's packed with a lot of different things, and it's not like a teachy book where you feel like I'm learning something or he's preaching to me. It's nothing like that. You don't even realize when you're reading it that you're being taught something. You just going through the book and seeing what the kid is going through, and he's hanging out with his friends, and you're laughing through the book and everything like that, and by the end you realize, hey, I learned something too.
Okay, sounds good. Well, definitely, you all have an invitation anytime.
Thank you.
And thank you for making Passion for Life another week of success with Dee and Friends. So, next week we'll be back, and I don't know what we're going to be talking about, but we'll be back and we'll be talking, and you'll have to tune in and see what we're going to be sharing. So come back to Passion for Life with Dee and Friends.